So unfortunately, we will not be able to show you the video from Adisadel. I don't know how some manage it. I can't look at it. No, not for a minute. I can't. And this show is brought to you by Bank of Africa, strong as a group and close as a partner. MTN everywhere you go. Ashesi University, educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Robert and Sons Upscale Services, your comprehensive eye care service provider. For 31 years, Duraplus, how you get your water matters. Remember, where Duraplus goes, water flows. DBS Industries, roofing, Papa Fie, My Way. Dial 165 hash on MTN to join My Way today. Good insurance. Cherry Tree Properties. We develop spaces as though we were going to occupy them ourselves. Syntex tanks. It's strong and it's tough. Flamingo paints. Simply superior. Right. So, Dr. Pebby, from what you have seen and come to know about the development in Adisadel, which we know is not peculiar to Adisadel, but that this one has come public, what should we be doing as a nation?
That's a good question, Samson. First of all, I would like to say that I don't know if my dad is listening, but he's an Adisco old boy. He's a Santa Clausian, so I better be careful what I say.
He will agree with you. Everything you say, he will agree with you.
But I would like to submit that this is a complex issue. I don't think it's as simple as, oh yeah, he's a bad boy, beat him up, send him to correctional center, etc. Let me say that I think there are three angles I like to look at the complexity of this from. Number one is, what about this makes it an isolated case, right? Just an isolated case of one bad boy, beating another. We don't even know what provoked it. So we can't even see how innocent the other one is either. But what about this is an isolated case? Number two, what about this is systemic, which you alluded to. And when I say systemic, which is an Adisco-wide problem, or a boys' school problem, or a secondary school issue, or a general educational system issue in Ghana. And then thirdly, what about this case is a microcosm of the larger Ghanaian society, right? Because, for example, we've seen issues of bullying by the state. We've seen brawn over brain in things like the land guardism, right? And around the same time this thing happened, we saw footage. Another video went viral, police brutality, if you remember. The video from Dadiase in the Seche-Kubewu district of Ashanti region. In fact, the chokehold of the boy, is very similar to the belt the police used to, tie the neck. So
your friends in the studio, when we went on the break, they were referring to that video.
There you go. So that's why I'm saying that we need to look at this particular case, but also what is it reflecting, on us as a Ghanaian people. Then when it comes to the case itself, if we are talking about how to tackle it, again, it's interesting that some of the issues we have in Africa have been described recently as wicked problems. In other words, they have multiple tentacles, and so we need to have systemic thinking in solving them. Otherwise, you solve one part of it and another part, shows up. So I would say that number one, it has to be handled in terms of training issues. What is it about our formation, our training and education system that must change? What values are we inculcating? Are we inculcating values at all? Or education has just become about, like a friend of mine said, has become education. Not training the head, the heart, the hands, but just pouring knowledge into the head. Number two, what about this is sociological? Are there issues we need to deal with? Is this guy, we are even assuming he has parents, right? What is the situation at home? Where does he come from?
Yeah.
What is his socialization, right? Number three, psychological. Does this guy have mental health issues? And mental health issues are real, especially after the pandemic, right? There are many of us sick, and I say this as a medical doctor, and I'm not even aware because it's not showing on the skin, it's not showing on the forehead, but we may be sick. So there may be psychological issues. that have to be dealt with. The guy needs to be assessed. But both of them, both the guy who was doing the chokehold and the victim, both need to be assessed, but especially the guy who provoked it. Number 4, are there spiritual issues? And then number 5, legally, how do we handle this? Because you are the lawyer, you know too well. This can be handled, as a civil case.
So legally, after the Ministry of Education's intervention, we know that the victim who was suspended has been brought back. And we're told that he has been given some psychological attention, he's been attended to, and getting ready to sit his exam. They are classmates. And the perpetrator actually was processed by the police. He was supposed to have been put before court yesterday, but there was some situation, so he would return to court sometime in August. But he's been granted bail and given to the custody of the headmaster.
I see. And I also see that the housemaster has been suspended as well, regarding the case. So it seems like we are going about it, the right way in terms of legal is being taken care of, psychological has been. Let's get into the sociological aspect. Let there be social workers to look into that context as well. But then let's look at the broader issue of bullying in our secondary schools. I think that it should attract serious consequences. And maybe this will be, unfortunately, a scapegoat issue that will help to stop many others that are happening. The only reason why this has come to the fore is that somebody recorded it.
That's right.
But so many more. Just
what do you say? What do you say about the fact that somebody was recording? There were others in the background, and they couldn't seem to do anything about what was happening. As we understand, he seized the SIM card of the victim, and when he demanded it, he then, began the assault, almost killing him. Like I said, I can't watch that video. I don't want to put anybody through that video, particularly if you're a parent.
Yeah, I mean, I have a son about that age, and I imagine putting myself in I mean, I wouldn't bear watching it if that were my son. But your point is well noted that who was taking the video? Why would they rather take a video than intervene? And number 2, all those around seem to be rather cheering or jeering, but whatever it is, they did not intervene. And for me, that is an issue. That means this is quite normal, and that is worrying. I think as GES, we need to get into this and make sure that this kind of thing is expunged from this is a secondary school. Children are there to be formed, to be useful members of society. This is not a boxing arena or a wrestling ring. And I think that needs to be very clear. And let the consequences of this show that we are serious about not countenancing bullying in any form. And let's show that example as leaders in the society too.
Mary is still with us. Mary, what can you say briefly about this? The intervention of the GES, the Ministry of Education, all commendable so far, and the fact that there's opportunity, they are supposed to sit their exams. There's opportunity for them to sit their exams nonetheless, whilst the punitive disciplinary processes are gone into, right? Okay, I understand we don't have Mary. Yes, Dr. Richmond Tiohene. Yep.
I think I agree with the first speaker. I mean, we have a problem with this family issue. When we were children, we call what we call child formation and nurturing. I think the first thing we should do is to look at the backgrounds of these children, because if you have a family that is not together with discipline, you go to school and you tend to do that. And again, they go to school and also have peer groups, and it's very dangerous. The way these kids form, I remember one time when my daughter had to do a pharmacy, he peer group with certain body and said they would do biochemistry. When he has got a degree, a chance to do it. So I talk and the girl didn't listen to me. So he was so much influenced by the peer group. And I think the peer group influence is very, very, very high, which we need to study it. We need to research into it. We need to look at it. And again, the education system that we have, I think we all say is laudable. You see, we want to fund everybody, but the values, the core values, which a country is supposed to indoctrinate. I mean, I'm told that there's no moral education. There's no this, there's no that. They replace it with social something, something, something. But you see, if you are taught from the beginning that you are a human being, the other one is a human being, if you touch him, you're going to kill him. But if you go there and you learn your geography and history and economics and pass and go, you will possibly go to university, graduate, and you may not be able to work with others because it's an interconnected system. And I believe that not only our education should look at this, the ministry have done well, but what I didn't understand is the housemaster who had to suffer. And the housemasters are always away. The housemasters are sitting somewhere, and the children as well. When we were in primary college, that is what happened. It falls to the house prefect. So I wasn't understanding why the housemaster, as if he knew something about it. I mean, recently, you said about upper there, somebody threw a stone about a student, hit the eye of the master. I mean, why are we breeding students like that? I mean, we need to, as a nation, like the first speaker said, a nation should take a stakeholders talk.
But like he mentioned, they will be taking inspiration from places. We have been complaining about this Ashaman situation and in the public glare, how people were being whipped and innocent people.
That is why
lined up and whipped. You were discussing the police officer dragging this guy on the floor in a manner that could have ended up killing the guy.
So I think it's a societal issue that we have now. It's a broader than what is reflecting in the school. I think it's bigger, and the society or the country should sit down and find a meaningful way. Because if you drag the guy down and he dies, what are you going to say? I mean, he's a human being. He's not, sorry to say, he's not a dog. And you kill him and that's it. And it goes on and on and on. We are setting commission.
But on that particular issue, the guy was resisting arrest. So if he's resisting arrest, the police is supposed to use force, minimum force. So why do we say children will take inspiration from that kind of thing?
Yeah, so we often underestimate the effect of inequality in society. See, there is a very close correlation between violence and poverty. So it is not a surprise that there's more violence in poor neighborhoods than richer neighborhoods. Now, out of inequality results breakdown in law. And out of breakdown in law, you see impunity. Then, impunity is the result of the things we see. We have seen so many instances where even state law enforcement has used pure violence, unjustifiable violence against citizens. And no one has been punished. We have seen situations where communities have wreaked violence to public officials, and no one has punished. Look, talk about Ejura. Ejura happened. We saw military men aiming at civilians. We saw Ashaman, where soldiers have beaten people. We saw Major Mahama. All these things were playing live on our screens, and these kids have been watching this. And not even one of these instances have we seen any form of justice, any form of punishment, any form of repercussion for anyone's behavior.
If any at all, it delays many years.
Delays, and there's even, when it delays that way, it gives people the impression that you can actually do it and the law cannot do it.
We should be doing daily trial for Major Mahama's case.
Day by day, So the point is that until this is not an isolated case. No. I don't believe this is an isolated case. Because even on social media, I've seen a lot of these high school violence behaviors all over the social media. So it's not even an isolated case. Perhaps because of the school involved, which is one of the elite schools, where you don't even expect this to happen anyway. But the second tier, third tier schools, these are regular occurrences. There. So I think we need to begin to show some level of. It's a long project that we need to begin, but we need to begin it now. Otherwise, there will be a time where, look, you send your son to school. To go and study. Look at how difficult it is to even come by children these days. Now you send a child to school to go and just learn and come back home. and then he's dead.
Yeah.
And the school will not tell you what exactly happened,
Right.
and everybody starts late about it. Look at this. How can you sleep when you have a child in a boarding school and knowing very well that this is what could happen to your child? And we don't care. All we do is that now everybody is trying to do what international school, O-level, whatever. We are doing all manner of things to avoid the problem and give some, luxury to our children. Those who can afford, but the majority of the people are in these schools, harming themselves every day. Parents send their kids to school, the kids come back home and they are injured. And there's no account. Look, there have been a number of complaints from some parts of the country to some of us who do these private, pro bono cases. And against secondary schools, parents are calling us every day saying that, look, I sent my child to school for one term. The child comes back. Not even one of the things she took to the school is back with it.
Yeah.
Look, your trunk, your chop box. In fact, the chop box will not come with the. We are not even talking about.
This is sort of a tradition in the boarding schools, right?
So it's like there's no law, there's no punishment, there's no sanction. Everybody's just doing what they like in the secondary schools, and no one is thinking about it.
And we are being told that now too, because the numbers have, there's too much, so the control is becoming a difficult
control
thing.
is gone. The control. I had an instance where a parent called me. What's the issue? The child has this disease, and it's in the school, and the child has not been given any attention as far as the sickness is concerned. It's just thrown out there, and every night the parent has to go to the school to ensure that the child. What kind of life is this? So we need to. I don't know what we think we are doing, but as a country, if the next generation cannot learn anything and we become basically, animal kingdom behavior, jungle law, the survival of the strongest, then we are not building any country. We are not building any country, and we need to understand that those who have been placed in position of responsibility should be able to take up this responsibility seriously.
All right.
Thank you very much, Samson.
Thank you very much. And those were brief comments about, we can't stop talking about these things. And Notedria says that we need to look at all forms of harassment in schools, workplaces, and generally in a holistic manner. Physical assault is only one aspect. That's correct. The Adisadel incident is not an isolated case, and that's correct. The measures are superficial responses at best. These phenomena thrive on and are fueled by a subculture with known and very disturbing characteristics. So this is advice coming from the experts that we ought to take a holistic look at some of these. From the latter part of last year and sometime this year, we have heard how in secondary schools there's rioting, all sorts of things happening, and students just doing, everything, like nothing is at stake. All right, thank you very much. Now.